Hello, everyone. So, my beautiful sister and I are here today to talk about something that is really, really close to our hearts and that needs to be expressed. And maybe you feel also in your life what we want to share with you from our hearts to your hearts. And that is the topic of emotional trauma that is not talked about in our society, in our Western society enough. I want to bring one example in the beginning. Um, when we have an accident, a car accident, for example, and we are only slightly hurt, no one will come to us and tell us, just get over it. When we are emotionally harmed and we have emotional trauma, I can talk about my own experience in life. Maybe you have had this too, but a lot of people told me just get over it. You have something to eat, you have a head, you have a roof over your head, so just get over it. And we think that this is now the time to address these emotional traumas and to give them the space to heal safely, and where no one is telling you just get over it, because it's a wound. We don't have only physical wounds, we have emotional wounds, we have spiritual wounds, and the healing is only possible when we are in a safe setting. So it's like a water. We are 99% water on a cellular level, right? And water that is stagnant starts to be stinky a little bit and starts to get bad. And the same thing is in our body when we hold trauma, whatever trauma it is, physical trauma, emotional trauma, spiritual trauma, it gets stuck. And we can't access the wisdom of our body anymore. So, my beautiful sister, do you want to chime in a little bit on this theme that I opened up for us right now?
Yeah, I feel like it's a great example. And also to reflect on what you just shared is also the physical injury. It's something that we are addressing in those particular moments, but we are not really thinking about what happened to our psyche after this particular accident, right? How much it can affect us in our life, even if it was like minor, damage on like a physical level. We're not really thinking about how much of the damage it did to us on the psyche level, how much of the fear this can create, how much of the stagnant energy in our body. And I feel like this is a wonderful example to also address and see how much of like certain and particular moments of our life, situations that we are experiencing, not only in our childhood, but also in our work environment, relationship environment, right? How much of the wounds we are carrying in our bodies unconsciously. And yes, we are like carrying on, we need to move on with life, but we are forgetting about those like moments that really shifted a lot in our body on like a body cell level. And that really reflects on what you are sharing about this like stinky water, that it's there, it's not going anywhere, it's living with us. And what is so important is kind of like to shift this energy, to move it, so we can create a space for something new, and we can take a deep breath and just relax
Mm.
in
Yeah.
in our life.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much. So, what comes to mind, and what you were talking about, is when there is a physical injury, there is also an emotional injury,
Mm.
right? Or also a spiritual injury.
Yeah.
But we can have also emotional injuries, for example, that we don't see on our body, but we can feel in our hearts.
Yeah.
And they are there, and no one sees them from the outside. And we are so wired in our society to keep them closed up in a room somewhere, in some of the rooms that we have, or in, if you want to say, in one of the bodies that we have. We have a physical body, an emotional body, the body of the mind as well, and the spiritual body, etc. So one beautiful picture, vision about all these rooms and chambers that we have came into mind that I want to share with you, is that we are like a beautiful big mansion, the most beautiful mansion that you can imagine, in a beautiful park in the middle of nature somewhere. And there is this beautiful mansion with all the rooms and the cellar and the ground floor and the first floor with a beautiful view. And some of these rooms we can't access, or we have the feeling that we can't access them because the door is closed, or there is so much trash inside that we don't want to enter because it's stinky, or because the energy can't flow through, or our emotions or body or mind can't flow through. So we need practices to clean out those rooms, or to open the doors, to
And
be
take
able,
out the trash.
and to get out the trash finally. So this beautiful mansion can be lived fully, and not only a part of it. And I feel that many of us, me included, of course, because it needs cleaning out on a regular basis, because the doors close again, or the trash piles up again. No, so we need those kind of practices to open up those doors and clean up the trash. And do you want to talk a little bit about possible practices to access this beautiful mansion and to live there and to have the beautiful view?
Mm. I can speak from my own experience, because I love this like metaphor of dimension, because this translates to our unique body, that it's such an incredible technology, right? So once we have some fear that has been not released, or some emotions that has not been fully released whenever we've been a child, for example, this is something that can really stop us from experience fully life. And without kind of like touching that fear, very often we are not able to feel the joy, feel the playfulness, feel the beauty of life. And again, this, I'm talking from my own experience. And like personally, for me, of course, different healing modalities and therapeutic modalities, they've been present in my life. But breathwork is something that really moved a lot for me personally. And it really walked me through several different emotions that were like stacked in my body. And it really helped me to kind of like release it in a way that was not dramatic, but it was just also very gentle and very powerful at the same time. And of course, this also included several different other experiences, but it was such a beautiful way for me to move the energy from the body, really move it. And whenever I'm talking about the move, I'm talking literally about the Maori movement as well. And it was one of those, modalities that really like shifted my life on the physical level, mental health level, and really helped me to sustain my sanity and mental harmony and mental balance. So that would be one. But on the top of it, it's like daily practice, daily meditation, daily breath, being mindful, being present, what I'm eating, what I'm listening to, who am I talking to, what kind of like connection I'm creating, what kind of stuff that I'm receiving from the outside world as well, whatever it's like a trashy thing again, energy that is not really like sustain my growth, but rather like keeps me down. And I feel like this hygiene applies to every area of our life, every relationship of our life, every material and content that we are actually absorbing in our life, not just the food. So for me, to me, it's about sustaining the daily practice,
Mm.
sustaining the clear state of mind, but also clear body, and having the rituals, but also having the practice, because I find it like so necessary for me today in my life. Not only because I want to live in a certain way, in more balance and coherence and integrity, but also like observing the world today, what is like happening in the society, how much of, drama is out there, how much of toxicity is out there, aggression. So I feel like it's something that is so valuable for me today and so necessary, that I really, really, I feel like my inner peace today is my highest currency. And
Mm.
I can see that without sustaining certain practices and cleansing and rituals, it's being disturbed.
Yeah.
So I see how from this like place of like inner peace, how much of the creation can happen, how much of the risk I can take in my life, how much of vulnerable I can be in my life. So this is like a base for me today.
Mm. Mm. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Mm.
And on that topic, I feel like I want to share a personal experience with breathwork right now.
Mm.
So I was personally stuck in friendships and relationships that were causing constant drama in my life, and I didn't know why. I didn't know how to get out of it, and I thought, what is wrong with me? Am I not worthy enough to experience healthy relationships? Whatever relationships, work relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, there was so much drama, even with my family, so with my mother as well. And when I started my breathwork practice, I realized that I was used to the drama.
Mm.
My body and my mind and my psyche didn't know anything else. So I was constantly searching for it, to be in that what was familiar to me. Even if I couldn't feel peace, as you said so beautifully, so the peace as the highest currency, I love that. I couldn't access that because I didn't know how to create that or how to surrender to the peace practically. So I didn't allow myself that because I didn't know how. And what the breathwork practice showed me um, was a very, very early experience in my life where I thought that without drama there is no growth.
Mm.
And breathwork, so this expanded state of consciousness that we access through breathwork, for example, but also through other modalities, of course, um, brought me back there into this moment. And I could re experience this moment and at the same time integrate it, not push it away finally, but integrate it as part of me, part of my experience, part of my life. And as soon as I did that, so to make a friend out of this experience that was traumatizing, as soon as I could do that in breathwork and in this expanded state of consciousness where I was not operating from the day to day mind and pushing away what was um, causing this drama, things started to shift in my life. So I don't know if that was clear how I explained it, but this was one of my biggest shifts, I have to say, um, as well as, of course, other shifts. But do you wanna share something about
Thank
that?
thank you for your share. What a profound experience and shift. to have, and this drama piece is so relatable. I was like personally the fear junkie, anxiety junkie as well. So I can totally relate this like drama piece. But what was very incredible to me also in terms of like this work was to observe also like my relationship, how I relate to certain situations and people, and and also have this like perspective of not to observe things on the horizontal level and blame everyone's and everybody, being in the victimhood land. But what is beautiful for me about this modality, that it invites you to take stuff in internally in this like vertical direction. So all of a sudden, it's not really about people who are like out there, but how do you relate to them? And also like, what does it say about you? So, this inner practice and observing myself in those different moments and seeing this mirror, but also like taking stuff vertically and understanding what this is about me. Why am I dragged to certain situations and dramas and, you know, abusive behaviors and aggressive behaviors and all that? Help me really understand my inner wounds as well and see where this is coming from. And I feel like from this like awareness, when you are aware at least about certain moments and experiences in your life, and this is what you can find through the breathwork also, you can really create the change. Because once you have the awareness, it's the matter of the decision. How do I operate in life? How do I want to show up? How do I want to relate? What kind of relationships I want to have in my life? And if so, how do I want to really like let the life manifest through me and show up from my heart, with my open heart, in a vulnerable way? How do I want to take the risk?
Mm.
And I feel that, and I can see that it also translates to this like safe and safety, because it's really up to us to create this safe container for ourselves, right? And the more safe you feel, the more you can really release, and you can kind of like allow yourself to go through the full disintegration, and I feel like this is the key element. And from that, once you allow yourself to be held, you can recreate that in your daily life. You can hold yourself. You can learn how to hold yourself safely. And that was a bigger teaching for me, for sure.
Mm.
To look at this like inner landscape and take stuff vertically and really face myself in this radical and authentic truth, in the boldness almost, right?
Mm.
That here I am, fully naked, fully vulnerable, and I can really turn my face, you know, and not really see it any longer. So that was a big moment for me to like kind of like step away and pack my stuff and leave the victimhood land and
Mm.
really own my life, take responsibility for my decisions, take responsibility for my actions, and not fearing my emotions, but like meeting me where I am and allow myself to feel safely. But that requires to meet those old patterns and old emotions that they are like stacked in our body, and to kind of like not operate from the child mind, having the child, in the driving seat, and, allow the child to drive through the life, but rather be in the adult mind and connected to the heart, connected to the spirit, and build up the muscle of the trust.
Mm. Oh, I love that. Also, you're talking about, there are so many treasures in what you
Mm.
have said right now. What comes up is this child, we all have our inner child still very
Mm.
much alive inside ourselves. And we can operate from this wounded child, or we can learn how to care for this child. And what comes up is that in the beginning, when I did this work of deep inner introspection, is that I needed in the beginning someone really to hold me as an adult. So I couldn't do it on my own. I feel that was me. It was just too much trauma stored in my body, and the my child was so reactive to situations that it just, you know, when you get triggered and you just go into aggression mode, or you go into hiding, or you know, the fight or flight mode, or the okay, now I'm dead mode, you know. And in the beginning, I needed someone to hold me, really to hold me physically as well as emotionally. And that helped me so much. So my psyche and my body could learn how to hold itself. So to get to step into the adulthood. So I learned how to hold my inner child myself.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
But there are still moments where I prefer that there is someone around when I'm going through some really deep stuff, that someone really is there and holds me so I can fully express without needing to hold myself. So
Mm.
if I feel that I'm going through something really difficult, I seek out some fellow facilitator and to hold me in this process, so my inner child can learn uh,
Mm.
to express, and then I can learn as an adult woman to hold this inner child again and to make the
Mm.
next step of healing. So it's a threshold.
Yeah,
It's really a threshold.
and it sounds also, and I'm reflecting back on the last retreat, the private retreat that we've been holding together. What an important lesson also about receiving. Allow yourself to be held,
Yeah,
right? Allow yourself to open the heart and receive the support, receive the attention, receive the presence, and to see how important it is, right? To not only give but also to receive this like beautiful and sacred cycle of the life,
yeah,
giving and receiving. And this is also to me something that I've been learning through my process in the breathwork, but also in like some other healing practices. To not go to the mode, oh, I'm fine, I'm gonna do it on myself by myself and I don't need anyone, because again, this is like me re-traumatizing myself, because there were like so many moments whenever I had to go through those difficult and challenging experiences by myself, and having the adult that would hold me. So I feel like this is such an important of the healing, such an important part of the healing process as well, to give yourself a permission to be held
yeah,
in those very vulnerable moments, whenever you're struggling and you're going through some deep stuff. And this is such a beautiful opportunity also to heal this inner child, to me.
yeah. And I feel that without this healing of the inner child, we can do all the healing on an adult mind and
Mm.
it won't work.
Mm.
So we need to go there,
Yeah.
and we need to have this relationship and
Yeah.
the communication with
Yeah.
this inner wounded child. And we are all wounded. There is not one human being on this planet that is not wounded. So
Yeah.
this connects us all.
Yeah.
And that is a beautiful thing, because it means that we are a family. We are a really big human family,
Yeah.
and we just walk each other home
Yeah.
into wholeness and into peace. Yeah. There was another thing, and I forgot now. What did you say in the end that was so beautiful? It was the inner child, but there was also another part that I wanted to address um, about the holding. But is there something that comes up for you?
Yeah, there's one thing, because, and again, I'm speaking from my own experience, how this like unhealed parts can hold us back in life. And I've been living in the fear for so many years. And this like hold, not only like it was like holding me back, but also like I didn't believe, I didn't have the courage to take the risk. Not from like the healthy place, taking the risk of like reaching up for my goals and my desired life and creating the life the way I wanted, right? It was like more very unconscious and just like operating from this like old patterns of like, you know, seeking basically for what was familiar. So I can see that without this, without healing this like inner part that is so wounded, it can be very difficult to release this life force of creation that is stored in our wound, that is stored in our heart. It's very difficult to like reconnect with the spirit, reconnect with the soul that is like such a force and such an incredible like manifestation of life. And I can see how crucial it is to kind of like release this space and open up this space for the creation and creating the life from with courage, but also um, from the place where you're like ready to take a risk, from the place where you're really ready to be vulnerable, because you have this trust that you will be held, not only by yourself, because you're like now an adult being and you can really take care of yourself. You can recognize your blind spots, but also you're like, you can be held by something bigger, like this, like the universal life force, this like incredible energy that connects us all.
Yeah, yeah. Mm. So practically, we are talking about a clearing and cleansing modality
Yeah,
that is breath work. And the breath is something so magical, no? Because we can't see it, but we
yeah,
can feel it. So it's a feeling practice,
yeah,
and it connects our physical body because the breath goes into the physical body. It connects the physical with, so the seen with the unseen realms. So we really have access to our physical body through the breath, but also to unseen parts of ourselves and also of this life, of other forms of life and of the collective and the transpersonal through the breath.
yeah,
So this is why in breathwork sessions, very often for me, um, personal stories show up of my own life that are unhealed still or that come back with other faces. Um, or visions come up from the animal realm, from the plant realm, then themes from the collective, what is going on right
mm,
now on this planet, and we are in a big shift right now, energetical shift of humankind. So stuff can come up that is not only ours, but it is ours because we are all connected.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
And
such a, sorry, go
yeah.
on.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also the letting go of addictions, I feel, because we are all addicted to something, no?
Yeah.
And we were talking about you about the fear junkie, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, me about control junkie.
Oh, familiar, relatable.
Yeah, and then we have also addictions like physical addictions, like alcohol, for example, that brings us away from the suffering of the daily life
Yeah,
and the uncomfortableness of this daily life that we don't want to face. But without facing it, we always fall back into it. So it's practically a clearing and cleansing of patterns of addictions as well.
absolutely. And I feel like to just address and to reflect on what you shared is also about ancestral wounds, right?
Yeah.
Going back to the roots and like healing the lineage of ours. So it's kind of like embracing the life paradoxes.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like a dance, right? Between different realms and different realities, not only just the physical,
Yeah.
but also many others.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good one. The
Mm,
ancestral wounds
yeah,
that we hold because, um, yeah, we come out of a lineage. Every
yeah,
one of us has a story that is before our own physical life.
Yeah.
And we hold that as well in our body.
Absolutely. And I must say, because to me, it was not only about the grieving process and releasing the anger, but it was also about finding the joy, pleasure,
Oh, yeah.
feeling this like life force creation. And again, from how I see it, is like it goes together. Once you allow yourself and you give yourself permission to feel fully, whatever it's a fear, whatever it's anxiety, what can also comes is the joy, the playfulness, the pleasure, fun, you know, dance, gigglings. I remember like one of my sessions whenever I was like literally laughing and smiling and dancing throughout the entire session, and what is so amazing to me is like how different it can be. And
Mm.
it really depends on where you are in your life and what do you currently need in this very current moment, current chapter of your life. And what is so incredible to me is that it truly is about this like inner guidance. And this guidance will always lead you to the experiences that you really need at this very current moment.
I love
It's
that
not
you.
always what you want,
No, it's not.
but it's what you need.
Yeah. And I love that you address the joy
Yeah.
because I was not, so I felt immediately guilty
Hmm.
when I experienced so much joy.
Yeah.
And I said, oh my God, am I worthy of joy?
Mm.
And then something closed up again. So it needed a while for me to
Mm.
be, so I could access the joy or access the joy. How can I say that more appropriately? I could allow myself to feel the joy and to stay there as well,
Mm.
not to hide from it again because I felt unworthy of
Yeah.
experiencing joy because there is this big part in many of us that we don't feel worthy
Yeah.
of a beautiful life and worthy of joy and peace, and that's a big one. That's a big
Mm.
one.
Yeah. And it's so, I feel like important in that work as well, because I do remember moments whenever I was just like living in my basement, like my trauma basement, and I forgot that there is life out there.
Mm,
And the life was not waiting for me. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna heal this part and this part, and I need to like, clean up this part. And I feel like it's so easy to forget about this joy, the beauty of life.
mm,
Yes, it is important to, go down to that basement and see what's there, because there might be moldy stuff and moldy walls and, some really unpleasant stuff. And but at the same time, I feel like it's also about finding the way through that experience to experience joy. This is what was also about for me.
mm. And
And
the more,
yeah,
sorry,
go on, go on.
the more we clean up the
Yeah,
moldy stuff,
yeah,
the more light can flow into this
mhm,
mansion,
yeah,
right? So we also have to clean the windows, and
yeah,
so the light can flow in, and we are all expressions of light.
yeah,
And joy can only exist when we clean up the moldy stuff and the
yeah,
stinky stuff and the trash,
yeah.
so the waters can flow again.
Yeah, and what we also learned through our experiences and work together, the discovery of the joy and playfulness on the ground in terms of like doing the work and but also holding the space.
Yeah,
Because it can be very like challenging, it can be very intense. And I feel like joy and playfulness bring some lightness to that space.
yeah,
And it's so important also to take care of our inner child, because they want to have fun, they want to play, they want to just giggle and,
yeah,
take a risk.
yeah. So it's a serious work,
Yeah,
but there is so much joy included in this work.
yeah,
So I feel that it's really a work of what it means to be human.
mm,
There is the dark side and there is the light side.
yeah,
And when we tend too much to one of these sides, we lose the balance.
yeah,
We lose the center. So if we are always on the dark side and always doing the
Yeah.
deep trauma work and staying there because we are somehow addicted to it, we
Yeah.
lose the balance.
Yeah.
And at the same time, if we don't want to look there and we are only in the want to be only on the light side and have the joy and push away the dark side, we are also out of balance
And bypassing.
and bypassing as well.
And
Yeah.
to reflect on what you shared, I was also a pain junkie. So it was so much easier for me to just scream and clean and just experiencing the pain. And the doorway to the joy and playfulness, it was like it was not open. Because it was so much easier for me to like be in that struggle. So I really learned through my, not easy lessons, how it can also be.
Mm.
So I can really relate to that.
We have a theme here, right?
Yeah. And also, just to add one thing, to me is also, and kind of reflect on what we said previously, that it's not just about doing this deep cleaning and deep work, because this is for sure like a big part of it, right? To face yourself, to kind of like discover your authentic true essence. But at the same time, the daily hygiene, integration of those experiences to your daily reality and daily life, sustaining certain rituals and certain practices that they help you to sustain the balance.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it can be also, it can go and have this like profound experience, and you're just going to your life and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to reality, because that's what we very often hear. How am I supposed to go back to reality? And of course there is like a certain process of going back and integration, but I also learned a lesson how important it is to uh, the element of the self-care, the element of this like, daily cleansing, daily rituals,
Mm.
having the moment of the presence and having a conscious breath, having a conversation with someone who's like close to you and understands you, and giggle together and laugh together, share some, philosophical exchanges. And yes, I'm referring to you. But but it's also important, right?
Mm.
I don't know what is your take on that, but I feel like it's such a crucial element.
Mm. Yeah, what comes in now is while you were talking is how important it is to have someone who really sees us
Yeah.
and is curious about us
Mm.
and is just there to admire how what an amazing human being you are and I
Mm.
am and everyone who is watching is.
Mm.
We are all such amazing human beings and so different expressions of life.
Yeah.
And we owe it somehow to life to be in our fullest expression. And that needs a little bit of dedication and a little bit of focus and to do these daily rituals and self care. And it's
Mm.
not easy, especially for me, because we were talking about the last days about the scattered mind, right? A little
Mm.
bit. So
We are
I
both big fans of Gabor Mate,
we
as
are
you
both,
can tell.
yeah. Yeah, so I tend sometimes if I'm not in my discipline and I'm not focused, I tend to have so many informations that can come in, and then I scatter a little bit. So I scatter my mind is a little bit scattered, and I forget about my integration. I forget sometimes about my self-care and rituals, and that is not a good feeling because I lose my fullest expression of what I can be in the moment for myself and for others as well. And I lose myself in so many things.
Mm.
So we kind of all know how important it is to have a daily self-care ritual, and it's so easy to say and everyone knows about it, but to really do it and change it if it needs to be changed, or
Yeah.
even explore something new if we feel that, oh, this is not the right thing for me, maybe I should expand
Yeah.
and learn something else. That
Yeah.
is not easy to really embody it and to do it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's, do you know when it changed for me? When I really saw the results.
Yeah.
When I could see how differently I operate whenever I have the right sleep amount, right rest, I am in nature, I do meditate, I move my body, I do the breath work, you know, and I journal, you know, I can see the difference. So
Yeah.
now it's really from the place of like choosing myself, because it translates also how I show up to my work, how I show up to my loved ones, how I show up to my friends, how I show up to life, to strangers, you know, and I feel like it also helps us to be the really the most balanced version of ourselves. And from that place, I feel like we bring more love, compassion, and presence to the world.
Mm. And you know what was strange for me somehow in the past? That I thought the most balanced part of myself is um, not exciting. This is not an exciting place to be in. And actually, it is, because it's the fullest expression of life and the
Yeah,
most adventurous as well.
yeah,
Because I have access to so many things on my day-to-day basis,
yeah,
much more than when I am in the drama state.
yeah.
I always thought the more drama there is, the more exciting my life is.
Mm.
And I found out through the practice
It
that
wasn't the case.
it wasn't the case. Actually, it's much more exciting to be in my present self,
Yeah,
because then I can see and feel so much more,
yeah,
and I honor life, and it's much more exciting to come from this state of honoring my present self.
yeah.
Mm.
That's
This
beautiful.
makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, and it's
Okay.
so beautiful. Thank
Mm.
you for sharing that.
Mm.
And
Good.
again, we need to learn the new way, right? If we've been operating from the drama perspective most of our life, and we are like a drama junkie, it is, you know, again, a process to develop the new pattern in our mind, new
Yeah.
neurological pattern. And this is breathwork is also about neuroplasticity, right? About like creating those new patterns
Mm.
and
Yeah,
revealing
the
them,
ways.
the old ones.
Yeah, yeah. And to have these new pathways in the
Yeah,
brain that we can take another way. We can build another highway in
yeah.
our brain. And that's really a thing. I have
Mm.
experienced it. It's really a thing. It's
And
not
it,
easy.
yeah,
It's not easy. It can be uncomfortable.
yeah, for sure.
It needs dedication,
Yeah,
but it's worth it. It's
yeah,
really worth it.
absolutely. But they are like two different things. Fear, operating from the fear perspective, and discomfort perspective, right? Because
Right.
through the discomfort, we can really grow. We can create something new. We can enter the new pathways. We can enter the unknown
Mm. Yeah.
once we sense that inner peace and some safety, right? And I
Right.
want to say just one more thing related to what you shared, that to me it was also about like learning to set up the boundaries and saying full F yes and full F no.
Mm.
And it's such an empowering, you know, way to live to me. To
Mm.
really like feel your body and feel your boundaries, but also to communicate them
Mm.
to the world.
Oh, that is also a big one. We have many big ones
We
today
have
in
many big
our
ones too.
a lot of big ones. Yeah, the boundaries, these wonderful sacred boundaries. That
Yeah,
is not only self-love, but that is also love to others, showing love to others, actually. I always thought that setting my boundaries is like pushing someone away, and
yeah,
it's actually not, because it's communicating clear boundaries so that the other person can actually know who you are.
yeah,
And we can do it in a loving way. It
yeah. But
doesn't have to be
yeah,
aggressive and hard. It can
yeah,
it can be expressed in a loving way, but first we need to know who we are.
of
Otherwise we
course.
can't set boundaries.
Absolutely. It's about letting down the guards and unmasking your true self,
Yeah,
firstly, in front of yourself.
yeah,
And,
And
and allowing yourself to see all the flaws also, and those patterns that they are not that sexy, and the patterns and behaviors that they are not that great, right?
yeah.
So it's a process for sure.
Yeah, and it's true authenticity
Yeah,
that feels so much like freedom
yeah. Oh,
when we can finally tap into our authentic self and not hide anymore from ourselves, first of all, but then also not hide anymore from others and communicate in a loving way and compassionate way to ourselves and to others. That is freedom.
yeah. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's a very good
Good
one.
one.
That's a very good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we are laughing about it now, but it needs a lot of, so for me, it needed many, many years of work.
Likewise.
So,
Likewise. But it's such
yeah.
an honor to be here today with you and to create such a beautiful things together.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any last words for this long talk today?
I feel like I feel complete in the bigger wholes of the inclusion, you know?
Yeah, as you probably see. And if you are still here, thank you so much for watching till the end, because we have so many things to talk about. As you see, we could go on for, I think, the next 2 or 3 hours, right? But I also feel that for today, we are complete.
Yeah.
And we hope that you could take something out of our discussion. And if you have any questions, please reach out. If there was something that was not clear to you, please write us.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking here into the camera, and then I'm looking to you, and then I'm looking to me. This is like a beautiful triangle between you, me,
Yeah.
and the camera. Yeah. So
And
for
if you're
today,
ready for your inner exploration,
mm,
the new chapter for the new beginning, for facing your authenticity and your inner truth, you can find all the details about our upcoming events on the Freedom Tribe website. I think this is also something worth to mention.
yes, yeah, the freedom, the freedom,
The freedom and the tribe, those are the
and the
very
tribe.
important components of the work that we do.
Exactly. Yeah, and maybe let's go on the next time about how important the tribe is and
Oh,
why.
yes, that's a
That's
good
also a
one.
good one.
Very good
That's a
one.
good
Yes.
one. So let's,
Like-minded community.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
that's a good one.
yeah. Okay, so for today, we send you much, much love. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for sticking with us till now. And namaste, beautiful souls out there. Thank you, sister.
Thank you, sister.